Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for Technology Solutions for OEHS Professionals. My name is Sarah Isher, and I am a Senior Program Manager for the National Safety Council. I am so excited to be here with you all today to really talk about this partnership between Work to Zero and AIHA. As an industrial hygienist, AIHA is near and dear to my heart. I really love that we're able to work with them and Work to Zero to bring you solutions that can really save lives. Today, we're going to be talking about the partnership, the opportunities, and also a little bit about what we're doing with Work to Zero. Before we get into that, I want to pass it over to my co-speakers from AIHA, Bradley and Wangi. Hand it over to you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Sarah. I'll go ahead and get started. I just wanted to say thanks to NSC for hosting this webinar and for being open to partner with AIHA to share some of the information that you all have worked on in your Work to Zero program. It's really exciting. For those of you in the audience who don't know me, my name is Bradley King. I am an industrial hygienist and serve on the board of directors for AIHA. I'm currently finishing up a 3-year term as secretary and will be moving into the vice president position in May. And, I just wanted to say that, the board of directors at AIHA is, very interested in helping our membership better identify solutions for workplace health and safety issues of the type that NSC has learned about and has described in the Work to Zero program. So, we're very excited about helping to share this information. And, we've made it a priority to look at this type of impact that these technologies are going to have on worker health and safety. We initiated a new group called the Technology Initiatives Strategic Advisory Group that advises the board of directors on new and emerging technologies that can be useful in addressing worker health and safety issues. And so when I heard about the Work to Zero program from a presentation that Sarah gave at AIHCE last year in 2022, I thought this is a program that we need to make our members more aware about and see about developing a partnership with. So we're super excited, and we look forward to not only this webinar, but webinars in the future, and developing a partnership so that we can all use these technologies to better improve our worker health and safety practices. Wangi?
Yes, I like what you said, Bradley. These two organizations are doing something great through this webinar and future endeavors. So from an organization standpoint, they are working together, but I think the most important thing is for us as professionals to learn from each other. So just like you did, Bradley, you went to Sarah's presentation, you learned something, and then you even said more people have to hear this thing, right? And that's also why we're here, so that we as professionals could also engage with each other, ask each other, hey, where you at with this particular issue, this challenge, this technology, and then we can move in step, because our mission at the end of the day is to keep people safe when they're at work. And I think what Sarah's going to show us is new ways to do that better and allow us to spend less time on maybe Excel and spending more time with the people that we're devoted to. Those are the workers. So Sarah, take it from here.
Thank you so much. So what is Work to Zero? Work to Zero is a grant-funded initiative within NSC, and we are really focused on eliminating fatality risks with technology. And I know as industrial hygienists and other OEHS professionals, maybe you're thinking, well, yeah, fatalities matter, obviously, but I'm more focused on exposure or noise or chemicals. But I think what you're going to be able to see here is that no matter what the risk is, there are technology solutions available today that can really eliminate or at least mitigate these risks in the workplace. So what we're going to be sharing with you today is really some of the research that we really started out first with Work to Zero. And that was understanding the problem. So in what situations are workers dying? What technology could eliminate the risk? And what challenges are there? What we found from that was that as far as challenges to innovation, it was really focused around organizations' inability to identify the right technology. So hopefully through webinars like this and future webinars, we can help you with that, right? We can help guide you to the solutions that can really solve for these. Other things were organizations' mindset and readiness towards technology, which I'll share some resources focused on that as well. Some of the other barriers are competency to adopt new technologies for safety innovation, the ability to build the business case. And I know as a EHS professional, sometimes that's the hardest thing, right? Is showing leadership that safety isn't just a cost center, right? We're truly making a difference with what we're implementing. And then also the competency to handle the unforeseen tech issues or. So hopefully as we go through this discussion, we can kind of break down some of these barriers and show you that there are resources today that can help you adopt these technologies. So why are we doing this? We know that digital transformation is here to stay. As we were looking through our work and starting the Work to Zero initiative, we noticed that there were a lot of barriers out there. And as you can see, 30% of people just didn't even know what kind of technology solutions were out there. And what we also saw was there really wasn't a process that employers can use to make innovation work. So as a National Safety Council, we want to help break down those barriers so that way all workplaces can be safer. So we created a suite of resources to help with that. And that's what we're calling our safety innovation journey. So I'm quickly going to go through this, but I really urge you to go to nsc.org/work-to-zero to check these out. So I'm going to take a step-by-step guide through this, but it's really at the heart of it, understanding your risk, identifying the tech solutions, making sure that you're ready, being able to make the business case, and then really implementing the technology through a roadmap. So what is step one? At everything that we do, the heart of everything that we do as OEHS professionals, we have to understand our risk, right? We have to really understand what the issues are, what our workforce is doing. So we created this tool. It's just a simple risk assessment, really, to understand which hazardous situations workers are exposed to. Now, I understand that, you know, the tasks on the left may not completely align with everything that you're doing in your job, but this is something that it's really just a prioritization tool, which is it's something that we should all be using anyway. But we have this on our site. It really aligns with the top ways that workers are dying. So anything from work at height, electrical work, confined space entries, and we're helping you understand what kind of action you should be taking based on how often workers are doing these tasks. So for something like working at height, even if you're doing it once per month, you should be, really advising you to take action. Where confined space entry, although it's very important, but maybe you're only doing it not very often, we just advise you to monitor which tech solutions are out. So really, this is getting into understanding where your risks are and making sure that you're focusing on the correct project. Along with assessing your risk, we have just a lot of web content, anything from industry spotlight to our initial white paper that really focuses on mapping technology solutions to risk. We have webinars, we have all kinds of information to help you assess risk. Step two, identifying the tech solutions. So in some of our future webinars with AIHA, I hope that we can get into really these tech solutions. But after you've identified your risk, then what tech solutions are out there? We know that there's a lot of information out there, but we really wanted to map tech solutions that can solve for those top hazardous situations. So anything from digital gas monitors, drones, lone worker monitoring, immersive technologies, camera analytics, permit to work, robotics, fatigue monitoring, and wearables. There are a lot of technology solutions out there, and we have lots of content on our website that can help you really understand these tech solutions. So much like this webinar, we have other webinars and priority white papers really focusing on the technology solutions. And I would say that for this audience, really focus in on obviously digital gas monitors, a lot of robotics, but also looking at things like fatigue monitoring and wearables, vital signs monitoring, understanding what your workforce is going through, and if there's any other outside factors that could be impacting their work. And also, I'd like to point out that we have priority technology white papers that are coming up this year that we've recently released. So for each of those technologies, we want to focus in and really provide you dedicated resources for each one. So something that we just recently released was our data and artificial intelligence, really using data to gain insights white paper. And in June, we'll be releasing one on robotics. So please check those out and stay tuned. So step 3 in this safety innovation journey is determining your readiness. We understand that there are a lot of things that are out there that are bright and shiny, but we want you to really focus in on choosing technology that is suited for your workplace and also ensuring that your workforce is ready to use it. So we have created this digital readiness assessment with DECRA. It's really an assessment that just takes a few minutes. You can go in and really determine where your organization is. So anywhere from observing, wait one second, I'm sorry. Anywhere from observing to experimenting to adopting to integrating and transforming. After answering a couple of simple questions, you can understand where you are in the process and steps you can take to ensure that you're really ready and able to adopt technology. The fourth step in the safety innovation journey is making the business case. So as safety professionals and EHS professionals, we understand that sometimes that's the hardest thing, is showing that this technology solution or any solution can really not only solve for the issue, but make a return on the investment. We know that implementing safety technology for high-risk tasks can lead to decreased workplace injuries and fatalities, lower total medical costs, and reduction in claims and fines. And what we really want to show is sometimes business as usual can cost more. And what that means is, sometimes the way you're doing things can cost more in claims and fines and medical costs than what it would just to implement some of these technologies. So really the process in making the business case is, as always, defining your business goals, making sure that you're looking at your digital readiness and considering management of change factors, identifying those possible safety technology solutions, determining the ROI, and then building that business case. And we have tools and resources on our website to help you do just that. So we have a white paper focused on making the business case that has lots of examples. And we also have 8 ROI investment calculators that can really show you, based on your industry, how large your organization is, and which technology solution you're interested in, how quickly you'll see the return on investment, and also, what savings you could have, and the potential cost for those types of technologies. We understand that it's not always about money, but sometimes we have to show that our solutions will effectively reduce these risks. So after you've made your business case, the last step in the safety innovation journey is really this roadmap. We have heard that a lack of effective change management can easily lead to the failure of technology adoption. So we've created this roadmap, which is a white paper, to really walk you through this process. So first you want to plan, and then prepare, and then evaluate and innovate. So we are firm believers that it's fine to start small. It's okay to start with just a small focus group before you release things, to really make sure that you're able to reduce the risk in the way that you want, and you're able to effectively communicate this change with workforce. And with that, that is our safety innovation journey. So please check it out. We're always adding more content, and we look forward to sharing this information with you all. So with that, I want to pass it back over to my friends and colleagues at AIHA to really discuss this information and your thoughts on it.
Sarah, I like how you describe this journey, right? Because it's that, and in some sense, each professional, each company has their own journey that they're taking, and so it's not necessarily a race. But those tools, I think, are really great to prompt you about where you're at, what problem you're trying to solve, and then the potential solutions that are there, and we know that in safety methodology, as we define problems or we look at controls or hierarchy of controls. But I think this type of thing shows us that technology can be a tool, right, that helps us control things, at least maybe helps us understand the problem a little bit better, and then so that when we try to implement a control or have a discussion with a worker, hopefully that it's allowing us to have that better discussion, right, Bradley?
Yeah, no, I think everything that you said is accurate, Wangi. When I was listening to Sarah give her presentation, I was just, really appreciative of kind of this roadmap journey approach that NSC has taken. I, for one, when I start thinking about all these new technologies that are coming out on the scene, it really is easy for me to feel overwhelmed. That's one of the first things that I think that I feel, because I don't know where to start. And so one of the things that I appreciate is the way that you all have structured the Work to Zero program to really take an approach for people like me that, may not necessarily understand or know where to turn, for some of the answers, or even where to start. And so, I think the examples that you've provided in your roadmap, everything talking about case studies to tools to develop, your return on investment, they really do provide a great foundation for better understanding how you can even approach these technologies when you feel overwhelmed as to what to do and how to incorporate them into practice. So, I, for one, have started to look at a lot of these tools, on your website, have been really impressed with them. I was wondering, Sarah, if you could talk to a couple of those things a little bit further. How did you develop some of the case studies? Because I think, seeing examples of how some of these technologies are being incorporated into a health and safety professionals practice, at companies is really important for people to see how this can be done and to inspire them. And so, I don't know if you can spend a minute or two just talking about maybe some examples or how you approached developing those case studies.
Yeah, so really at the heart of what Work to Zero does is create partnerships and create a platform that people can share their stories, because without all those people that are working and the safety professionals that are trying to eliminate the risk, we don't know what's out there, right? We're just trying to share the stories of what's happening. So for our case studies, we're really focused on creating relationships with our advisory council. We have a mix of researchers, solution providers, and industry experts that are really using these technologies on site. So partnering with them to interview them and understand what risks they were trying to solve, maybe some challenges or some barriers that they found to the process, and then really the learning. And that's how we're focusing on those case studies. So I think we have maybe around 10 or so on our website. You can find them under the technology solutions pages. We have some on AR. We have, I think, one coming out on lone worker monitoring. We have just several different examples of how actual industry are using these technologies.
It's great to hear, because from a resource perspective, because I don't think any of us is saying that all these technologies are perfect for everybody, right? In some sense, you might have to do like a Goldilocks thing. This porridge is too hot, this one's too cold, and find where you need to go. But it's good to start with some idea, right? Some idea, and this is, I think, your point, Bradley, in the question on the case studies. How is this person using it? Are they using it successfully? Was this the third thing they used, and what did they start with, and why did they get to where they are? Because the technology itself can be overwhelming. Because let's not forget, especially with these new sensors, when you either put them on a person or put them in the air, they're giving you a lot of data, way more than you're used to, right? So the advantage, yes, may be that you are aware of what's going on in your work environment all the time, but it also means that it's producing a lot of the data. And now you might be like, what do I do now? I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with all these things. Or maybe the way I was used to looking at it is now it really is not is not the best way to look at a spreadsheet with a million rows, because your hands are going to hurt because you're scrolling so much. So what should we do from there? So it's still, that's why I come back, I think, to the journey aspect is, and neither is it that I think once you've adopted this technology, you're done, right? There's always an iteration and improvement towards whichever where you're going, and so that the technology serves you, the way it needs to serve you, and you can again focus on the things that matter to you, which is, with the engaging with workers, or maybe demonstrating that ROI, right, Sarah? Because you may propose it, but then now you maybe start actually showing the dollars coming back to the organization.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so great about the roadmap that we have created, is it really reminds us that we need to go through this process, right? And maybe, maybe you're a small organization and you don't have the resources, but that's okay, right? You can start and plan and understand what you're trying to solve for. Because at the heart of it, we don't want to spend money on something that's not going to work. We don't want to spend time on something just because it's pretty and shiny. We want to do something that can effectively solve for what is hurting or killing workers every day, right? So during this preparation phase, it's really important to understand what your criteria is. What do you need out of a technology solution? Does it need to be cheap? Does it need to be reliable? Do you need to have good customer service? All of those things are really important when you're beginning the process. Understand what your organization needs out of it. And then that can help you build, tools to take to solution providers and say, hey, can you do this? Can you help me solve this issue? This is what I need from you. And I think it's important to have that conversation up front. So that way, later on, you're not surprised when you're not getting what you need out of the solution.
Yeah. Mwangi, you brought up a really great point. I think, it's one thing to bring a technology into your practice and to start using it. But, the resulting data that is generated from the use of that technology can bring up a number of issues. First of all, meaning, for industrial hygienists and occupational health and safety professionals, how do we analyze that data to best understand what it's telling us? That in and of itself is a huge issue that I think we're still grappling with as a profession. And then B, you're talking about, the collection of data, oftentimes on individuals, with resulting concerns about data privacy and how does this impact, the people that you're collecting the data on. And so, again, it's a really tough issue that I think we're struggling with as these new technologies are emerging for us to use. And so, Sarah, I don't know, are issues like data privacy concerns part of the Work to Zero program? Is that addressed at all in terms of what folks like me and Mwangi and other health and safety professionals need to be thinking about when it comes to just the data and data handling?
Yeah, I think that's something that we definitely talk about, that within the roadmap and the safety innovation journey, you need to be aware of what data you're collecting and how you're going to collect it. But I think that's also an opportunity for improvement for Work to Zero. What can we provide to safety professionals to help you through this process? I think a lot of it is, before you can just implement a technology, you have to have, trust with your workforce. They're obviously not going to want to just turn over their information or share information if you don't already have that relationship with the workers, and you can't effectively tell them how you're going to be using the information. So I think whenever you're starting out this focus group or piloting, it's really important to have your digital champions that can really help you share how data is going to be used, why we're using it, and what you're going to do with it, and show them that process throughout the journey. Mwangi, I don't know if you have a specific example of how you've handled this.
Yeah, I just want to echo exactly what you're saying. And you said, engage with them throughout the journey. So it's not that we talk to the workers in the beginning and say, do you like this yellow sensor, the orange one? And then that's it. We don't talk to them for a year while we're collecting data. To me, they're the key stakeholder, right? in this process, whether they have the sensor on them or not. But yeah, with this type of, let's say sensor technology or that you would put on a worker, many of them these days come with GPS sensors. So you can, because you're interested maybe how that person is moving around the workplace and how that influences, let's say, exposure and things like that. Or you have maybe an operator, driving around, taking care of equipment within a county or something like that. And so there's some boundaries where you may say, what is the workplace and what is not the workplace? If I'm driving, a truck for Sarah, and I don't technically clock out at a certain point, but I drive that truck home. So where do you stop measuring my data? Is it when I get to my garage? And when do you start measuring it in the morning? Is it really when I turn on the truck? Is it when I get to a certain point on the highway? And so these are the discussions, and these are things that we're not taught as safety professionals, by the way, right? So we have to partner with other folks to say, hey, how can we be successful here? But definitely, those are the new conversations that we're having that we traditionally didn't have, and that's why involving our workers so they understand not only what data we're collecting, they can also inform us on where maybe we're collecting false data, right? Because I come back to the massive amount of data so if a worker tells you, oh, such and such happened, or oh, such and such happens in this location, and you have so much data about that location, you may be using it in the wrong way. And I'm going to use the example of the tendency now is with these data that we're collecting, we want to feed them to a machine and do some machine learning and artificial intelligence, so we can look at the end of the day, guys. We want to be able to predict something may happen, so we can intervene before it happens, right? Mm-hmm. And so my point is that if we have sensors that are not giving us the data we want, we may then use that bad data in a model that is not going to be giving us what we want, or we may falsely believe that it's giving us what we really need. Mm-hmm. So again, in as much as the technology is very fancy and it can make us feel like we're everywhere at once, what it can do is even bring more noise to our process, and we need to be careful about how we deploy that, what questions we're trying to ask, and maybe it's even coming back to the journey, it's a milestone. Maybe we work on something for 3 months and then pause and say, what did we achieve? Are we really on the journey we want? And then, or even you maybe have a sensor with 6 functions, start with 2. See how those are going, and then just build from there. You don't always have to go full blown because it just may be too much at once.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. And it's part of that continuous improvement process, right? Understanding where you are, how you can improve, but also not changing the goalposts throughout the process. So not deciding that, hey, I'm going to turn the sensor on when you're leaving your driveway, but instead I'm going to turn it on when you get to the workplace. Make sure that you're coming up with those parameters before you start. That way the workers don't feel like you're changing the game on them, or you're not being upfront with how you could be using that information.
And I would say, safety professional, put that sensor on yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's really important for us to feel the burden, right? That we're, not necessarily forcing, but eliciting these workers on. So put that sensor on yourself and see maybe that the burden that they have around that geofencing or things like that. Because if the folks that are using the sensors don't believe in your mission, at the end of the day, the data you're collecting, again, no matter how fast or how big, it's not going to help you achieve your goals. And so, I mean, this is where engagement, with AIHA, NSC, and like Bradley said, we're part of the Technology Initiative Strategic Advisory Group, where we're looking at the technologies that are coming out there, and we're not necessarily saying don't use them, but we're saying, okay, how can we as a professional community move forward? Do we as a professional community need to up our skills with certain things, right? So when we're educating professionals in university or in courses, are there elements we add now, Bradley? Hey, we should look at ethical statements now for organizations around AI. And I'm going to throw ChatGPT in there because everybody's talking about ChatGPT, right? Yeah. Technologies like that. So what do they mean? What do they mean for us safety professionals, what do they replace and what don't they replace? And how can we, I'm an advocate of saying, not just abandoning them, but say, how can we be successful using these things, right? But we do have to, one, maybe experiment with them a little and just understand where they, where they can take us.
And hopefully they can make our job as EHS professionals a little bit easier, right? Hopefully we can use AI and other processes, other automated processes that help us with those sorts of jobs, with the reporting, with get us away from Excel sheets. So that way we can actually get time on the floor with the workers where we need to be.
Right. Mwang, you bring up a couple of really great points. For those of you who may not be aware, AIHA has recently initiated kind of 4 major initiatives to advance occupational and environmental health and safety practice. And one of those is looking at what we call state of the art versus state of the practice, trying to look at how we as occupational health and safety professionals do our work, what's kind of standard practice, but what would be the state of the art for addressing any number of different issues. And so, we're spending a lot of time exploring what that really means. And I think that, these issues of emerging technologies will very much play a role or a factor in what is looked at as state of the art. Mwangi brought up AI and ChatGPT, and it seems like, there's a new version of that coming out every week that gets announced.
Yeah.
And it becomes kind of, again, this overwhelming sense of, what do these technologies mean, and how can we use them to really do state-of-the-art practice? AI is such an interesting technology. To what extent is AI really discussed in Work to Zero, Sarah? Is it one of the highlighted technologies?
Yeah, so good thing you brought that up. We actually just released a priority technology report that came out last month, focused on using data and AI to gain insights into your EHS practices. So check that out. I know we're running close on time here. Are there any other lasting comments or thoughts from either of you?
I would just say that, thank you all for joining us. Stick with us. You'll see some future webinars and other products that I think are going to help you through your journey and help us through our journey. So I'm really glad you all were able to partner with us, Sarah, to put this on.
Thank you. Bradley?
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. Again, just on behalf of AIHA and our board of directors, I just wanted to say thanks for the partnership and being open to, bringing this information to greater awareness for our membership. And then, for those of you who are members of AIHA and have been intrigued by the types of technologies that have been discussed in Work to Zero and how they're being implemented, feel free to reach out to me or others on the board or to Mwangi. We're very much interested in continuing on this conversation within our membership about how we can do a better job of, making sure that people are aware of these technologies, how they can impact our work, how they can better protect our workers, and really doing what we can to move all of us further along in this journey that you've described.
Yeah, thank you so much. And as always, if anyone has stories to share, case studies, or any information, please let us know, right? We're here to help provide information to you all and move that needle a little bit further in your innovation journey. So just wrapping up here, stay tuned. This is hopefully just the first conversation in a series of webinars and communications that we will have with AIHA. And we will be focusing on technology with specifically wearables on our next webinar in June. That's coming from feedback from you all, from AIHA and Work to Zero's membership. So stay tuned. And on behalf of Work to Zero, NSC, and AIHA, thank you so much for joining us today.